All right. Got it. I'll wait for the conference room to,
We're all good.
there we go. So welcome to planning board meeting Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Can I have a motion to open the meeting of the planning board?
Motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Thanks, Sharon. And it looks like Lauren is here now.
Oh, okay, great. So by roll call vote, Gernander,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Lauren, who can't answer at the moment. Lauren, you should be able to answer now.
Hi.
You're
Yes.
part of our quorum at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Well, for the basic
Well,
meeting though, Sharon, we
actually-
just need 3 members,
Yeah,
so.
you're right. And Kate. So by roll call vote, Kate?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do 3-0 there. Okay,
Okay.
meeting open.
All right. I just wanted to tell our attendees who I think are mostly here for the White Hut discussion that a number of our members are having trouble getting here today. We hope that we'll be able to have a quorum that can deal with your issue, but it will not be at least until 6 o'clock. So it'll be possible you could just come back at that time and see, or our staff could reach out to you in whatever, by whatever means is easiest, probably, and perhaps an email, Sharon,
Yep, that would be fine if they want to send me an email.
to say when we, to let you know when we're ready for you.
Oh, they probably can't.
Can they
answer.
respond?
No, they cannot, right?
Let's
Come to think of it.
let Alexandra maybe.
Okay, they can.
Understood. I'm going to remain on the hearing until that time is or comes, but anybody else, I guess, as they please.
All right, and you'll let them know
Yes.
okay. We'll try, Alexandra, to keep you updated.
I believe
No.
Nick and Yi are the only two that are on with me. As far as anybody in the public goes, I can't speak on behalf of them, but they're actually as a panelist on here, so they should probably be able to speak as well.
They should be able to unmute themselves.
Are we thinking that this is gonna be around 6 o'clock? Is that what I heard?
We hope so, but we're not certain.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
well, why don't we deal with what we can deal with then?
So do you want to start with project updates, old business, or do you want to do that A&R? Oh. I think Kate is frozen.
Does appear that way.
She's coming back.
All right, now you can hear me.
Yep.
Everybody's having issues. So Sharon, we have enough people to take up the A&R, yes?
Yes,
Let's do that then. Can I have a motion to, wait, we don't even need a motion. It's in our public. meeting. Yes, we don't need a motion.
no, we don't
No,
need
we
a
do not.
motion.
Okay, so back to the question of the ANR for 56 Suffolk Street. Shall I lead off with the handbook, Jeff, or do you want to say anything more about the submission we have?
No, so I'll just to refresh, say memories. Last meeting, we brought up, or it might be a couple meetings ago now. There was an A&R plan for 56 Suffolk Street. And the current plan shows a parcel that is does not meet the requirements of the BC zone, and the only requirement of a BC zone is 80 feet of depth, and they're proposing 72. I've since reached out to the applicant's representative, Ron Hewitt. He then forwarded some additional information regarding the deeds, but then when I later called and emailed, I never received a response back, and this is probably already now almost close to our last meeting, so perhaps as many, I can look it up, but let's just say it's been several days since he's not returned my call. So at this point, you know, I know that they're already up against the 21-day signing period, and it may have already gone beyond that from his date of submittal. So I just put it back to you that's where we stand with that. And so, Kay, if you want to pick that up at this point.
Hey, Jeff, it looked like, did I understand correctly, the submission that what was sent over to us today, though, made it look like they were changing it so that one was longer, or is that a misinterpretation on my part?
Did we send something to who?
Something came with in the packet that Sharon sent.
Oh, that was what he had sent a little bit ago as a.
Okay, so it wasn't, I was reading it as a change that was adding a little
No.
piece from behind now. Okay, well, so just to update people, Jeff had forwarded to me the ANR handbook about approval not required plans that was put together by the state and Department of Housing and Community Development, put together January 1997 and revised September 2010. And interestingly enough, I found there is a section on endorsing ANR plans showing zoning violations. And apparently the legal cases that have gone up, I believe, to state Supreme Court. No, up to the appeals court, Massachusetts Appeals Court, said that essentially the planning board needs to sign, if it qualifies as an ANR, even if it violates the zoning code, the planning board should sign it. We don't have standing to not sign it. However, the problem with that is that then the applicant is creating a parcel that doesn't fit the zone, and that may cause problems for a future purchaser who then might have trouble building on the lot. So what the handbook suggests is that the planning board could make a notation on the plan when lots that are created are in non-compliance with zoning. And so we suggest that the planning board may properly add on the plan under its endorsement an explanation to the effect that the planning board has made no determination regarding zoning compliance. So, and they give three different possible statements that could be made. They're all on page 48 of the ANR handbook. I think the strongest one probably is the last one, which is planning board endorsement under the subdivision control law should not be construed as either an endorsement or an approval of the zoning lot area requirements. Or other options were the above endorsement is not a determination of conformance with zoning regulations, or no determination of compliance with zoning requirements has been made or intended. And they say, hopefully one of the above statements would have the effect of leading a purchaser to seek further advice. Of course, the building inspector should also be alerted. So what they're saying is we have to sign it, but we can put under the signature any of those statements that would
The only
hopefully
issue with
alert a
sorry.
purchaser.
Under the number 3, which does sound strong on the beginning, the second half says approval of zoning lot area.
And
Which
this
we're-
issue
which-
isn't zoning lot area, right? This
Right,
is
it's just, it's a length or dimension.
dimensional.
Right. So that would
So it
leave you
could-
with the 2, 1
We
and
could
2.
put one of the other ones. The above endorsement is not a determination of conformance with zoning regulations, or no determination of compliance with zoning requirements has been made or intended. I might do the second one.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first.
Either one is fine,
Another
honestly.
reason why is because it says specifically no determination of conformance with zoning regulations, where the second one says no determination of compliance has been made or intended, but I just,
Yep.
well, it's up to the board, obviously, but it's just, it's up to you, obviously.
Kate, what page are you on in that handbook?
I'm on, it's numbered 48, but it's not actually the 48th page if you're looking at it online.
Right.
Just look for number 48.
I found the 48 page. Got it.
So who's our signer for this?
Mimi is,
Mimi's our signer.
yes.
I guess my proposal would be that she can sign and she can put, if you think the first sentence is the best sentence in this case, I mean, we can just know that all three of these sentences are available to us if this ever comes up again. So I guess I'm proposing that she should sign it because the case law says that she should sign it, and that we append the first statement so that any. The other option, of course, would be, I think, if in future, if an applicant was actually engaging with the process with us, we could tell them that it wasn't in compliance, and that, you know, if they could make it in compliance, then they might have less of a problem, but it's going to be their issue if they try to sell it and it's not a lot that's in compliance.
Well, like I said, for what it's worth, staff did reach out to them on 2 occasions. One of the first occasion finally he got back to me. We did have the discussion, and that's when he came back with the additional materials, but he hasn't responded to describe what those materials at this point are what point they're supposed to get across. So,
I mean, we could respond and say, you know, there are 2 options. We can sign, but we'll have to put this note on that says, that indicates it might not fit the zoning, or you can submit something different with the zoning, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get any response from them. So since our 21 days is up, it might just be better to sign and put the notation on.
right.
Guess one thought I had was that the language you share that's in the handbook, it's standard language, I understand, but it just sounds ambiguous, you know. Well, I guess people who are buying will do their proper due diligence, but it kind of sounds a little ambiguous. I guess I was thinking it would be more explicit language, like, you know, this subdivision or this lot may violate dimensional requirements or based on the zoning ordinance or something like that. It's because I guess I'm worried about the fictional theoretical situation where somebody looks at it sort of just based on the ambiguity of the language, thinks, oh, that's just standard language, there's nothing wrong with this parcel, and they just goes ahead with it.
I think even that statement though is rather ambiguous, and I think the intent is just to show that it doesn't meet the zoning requirements. And I would believe that anyone that would be doing a title search on this or something would then be able to, when doing their due diligence, would find out why it doesn't comply. But 6 one, half dozen the other.
It's interesting because the legal write-up here specifically doesn't suggest that you say anything. I think the advice is trying not to get us into the realm of making a firm statement about compliance when in fact the ANR doesn't ask us to do that.
I think it's
I-
ambiguous on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I think. I would, my inclination would be that Nathan is right, but actually reading the ANR handbook makes me think they're suggesting it's better for us to be vague.
Yeah, understand. I'm a little biased because I think I have some personal experience of people not doing their due diligence. Anyways, sorry, that's not a remark. Yeah, I mean, if that's the recommendation in the handbook, guess just makes sense to sign. Yeah. By the way, I'm not sure if I was in all the meetings for this topic, or was I? Okay, so should I, how should we make a motion? What's the next
It's not a
step?
public hearing.
Okay.
And an A and R is not, doesn't follow special
Right.
permit rules and regs. So therefore, if there was, I don't see why you can't discuss it or perhaps vote on it. And for what it's worth, I did send this, you were here, but I did send the link to you all on October 11th at 9:42 PM to the A and R handbook.
It's scintillating reading. Actually, what I have to say about it though is the outline of what's included in it is very clear. So I knew exactly what part to go to. So, I will credit its clarity and specificity. I did not have to read the whole thing to find the answer I needed. So can somebody make a motion about signing?
I'll make that motion for signing.
Yeah, can I make that motion with adding that?
Not unless you turn your microphone on.
I guess, can I add to the motion, about adding the language recommended by the ANR? So I make the motion Gurinder just made with the addition that we add the language recommended by the ANR, the handbook. Second, anyone?
Can I
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, we'll vote.
So who seconded that?
Gurninder
Yeah.
second.
Well, he made the motion. It was added to by Nathan.
Okay,
So we'll have Nathan second it with the addition
Sure.
of.
I'm the second.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry for the confusion. Yeah.
That's okay.
Second.
All right. So all those in favor by roll call vote or not? Nathan,
Yes.
Gerninger,
Yes,
Lauren?
Lauren
Well,
can't vote on it
I'm
because
sorry,
it's not
Yep, it came out
Sorry.
quick, sorry. And Kate,
yes.
got it.
And just an FYI, we just received an email from Rosanna, and just to kind of paraphrase it, she has no idea of her time frame and cannot leave the current situation she's in. I'm sorry, this is an unprecedented event.
Okay,
All right. So, but do we need her for the Yeas, or if we get Mimi, can we go ahead with the White Hut?
Yes,
yes.
if we have Mimi, we can.
Okay, so we'll hope for her. Going down the agenda, I don't believe we need to have executive session today,
Nope, nothing.
so we'll skip that, table that. Project updates.
So as it states here, we were going to discuss, and this might be better with everybody in the room, because I think that was our intent, because this has been on for the past couple meetings. But the idea of the hybrid presentations and how does the board want to move forward? I'm not sure if that's more of a discussion, again, if everyone's present. And then also I had sent you all a further revised site plan review applicant checklist document for your review. And I don't know if that's something you want to take up with others present or as a modified group.
Let's see if we can get Mimi here. She might have some input on it that would be
Okay.
useful. The other things that I had sort of under old business, new business were
So you're taking the agenda out of order, gonna go down to other business. Is that where you're going? Or
oh
you-
yeah, no,
Yeah.
never mind. We can do that. We can do that later. Let's go through. Well, meeting schedule may change based on what we do now. Let's deal with minutes, Sharon, if that's okay. Take
Yep.
that out of order.
That's fine. I can pull up the amended minutes since we have time. The only minutes that I have, well, I have minutes here for Gerlinder to sign, so don't leave unless you sign the minutes. And then I have, the The ones from the last meeting where the tape was less than stellar. If they're very short, if you want to take a quick read. I'll screen share. This is the special permit for the fence on Elm Street. I take it you can see that?
Yes. That seems accurate to me as a general statement of the hearing.
Bernadette, any additions to this, or Lauren?
Um, I read it. I was okay with this.
Okay, so there's that one. We can approve as a package if we want.
That sounds great.
I can give
Yeah,
you
let's
the-
do that.
I'll give you the next one. This is the White Hut one.
It's good.
Good.
Yes.
Yep.
And last but not least is the Gary Rome one. With this,
Good.
Okay.
I read all of them already.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I read them before I came, so I'm good with this one.
Okay.
If anything, Kate need to add anything.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's not on the screen.
Yep, I'm sorry. I thought we were done with it.
Um, I think it's in the email Sharon sent it.
Yes, but I have
Ed-
been amending them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kate, 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Oh.
The only thing I would say is that in the paragraph that starts the applicant,
Mhm.
6-month look back to address the lighting intensities. Just to
Yep,
specify.
yep. Okay,
Other than that, it looks fine.
okay. Perhaps we can approve those as a package.
Can I have a motion to approve the
Yeah,
minute?
motion to approve as a package.
The public hearing minutes of September 27th regarding White Hut, Elm Street, and Gary Rome.
A second?
Kate seconded, or Kate, didn't you second it?
Well, I was asking for a second. I feel like
Okay, yeah,
I'm supposed to be
apologize.
calling.
I second. Sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah, right.
All right, by roll call
Okay.
vote, Nathan,
I can't vote on this because I wasn't present, so I abstain.
okay, we'll table these.
All right. At least we know they're good now.
Yep, they're good to go.
I can't vote.
Not on planning board business.
Technically, the associate member can only vote in instances where a quorum for a special permit or site plan review is necessary.
I
Okay.
did just text Mimi to see, and she said that it's not without hope that she'll make it to the meeting, but not before 6:30 at least. So I don't know at what point we call this and just put it off, but
If we are going to put
There
it
we
up,
are.
we will need to open the public hearing and continue them, not just table.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on this agenda that we can do?
Jeff, if you want to do more updates?
Well, like I said, I can offer you just a brief couple updates under other business.
Sure.
So a couple things, as we all know, the 41 Temple Street zone change was approved by the city council. So just a point of information that still does not allow for a motor vehicle use to function there, because all it does is zone change the property to BH. So arguably, if the applicant had, if it had been found that it was, or the zone change did not pass, then there could have been probably an argument for that it was a pre-existing non-conforming use and that the use could have continued, but with the appropriate license. Well, now that it's been zone changed appropriately, now they're going to need to go for, I would argue, need to go for a special permit under 7213A to allow for motor vehicle repairs on the site, and then they can go for the license. So that's another, that'll be another permit, unfortunately, that they've got to get in another process. But I guess that's what you get when you kind of allow for a spot zone in a place it doesn't, that one could say maybe isn't the best location, or, but the zone change does not necessarily allow that's why you shouldn't zone change for a project. You should zone change for the property. So, I guess we have yet to hear anything. They're still within their appeal period. So, eventually when we'll see how they proceed. But again, I would make the argument that they need the special permit now and then to get their license. So just kind of throwing that out there. Another bit of information,
Jeff.
I was out. Yes.
When they approved the city council,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What was that?
when the city council approved that, the last time I thought there was a table it.
It was last city council meeting, so it would have been presumably last week, I think.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
It
it
would've
was
been
a
the
week ago.
18th?
October 18th, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I just enough information, went out to Bay State Kindred, which is an A&R that was, or not, was a site plan review that was approved, was it earlier this year or later? It was later in 21. That's the mental health facility or behavioral health facility that's being built at the site of the former geriatric. Basically went out there to do a walkthrough of phase 1 of their planting plan, because they want to establish their detention basins this fall, so that way they'll be functioning for the spring. So anyways, but obviously they're also hoping to button the building up so they can start doing interior work before the snow falls. Also went out to Lynch Colvest at the site of the former Lynch School, and just to let you know that site is basically just 4 walls and a roof. The interior floor is still dirt, trap rock, and they were in the process of doing some planting, but it doesn't appear that there's any tenants, right? At least, otherwise they'd start building out the interior. So just telling you, went out there. Had a correspondence with someone who's working with 37 Appleton Street which was the former Worthington manufacturing facility down at the corner of Appleton and Canal Street. And well, it's a two-phased project. It's currently owned by American Environmental. And they're looking to build a 3,000 square foot structure to house vehicles and a transformer. This does not trigger site plan review, but will trigger stormwater review, will trigger an RDA of the CONSCOM, and will trigger under section 7172 industrial projects and industrial zones, IG, that they're going to have to produce a some sort of plan for you all to see, to then sign off on, to then allow that letter to then go to the building commissioner to issue the permit. But they are, after that, phase 2 is to build a 28,000 square foot building, but there's been no other details provided for that. I did offer if they could get us something by the 9th of November, the board could take it up on the 15th during that special meeting that was determined either at the last meeting or in the last 2 meetings. So we'll see where that goes. And then, let's see, Bay State, Lynch Temple. I believe the Holyoke Community Charter School is also wrapping up. I'm supposed to go out there in the next couple days to kind of look at their site to see that they're in compliance. Obviously haven't done that yet because of the weather, and also because I have to be, they're still in the process. They're going to let me know when it's available or available to go out. And at this point, that's all I've got for project updates. Yep.
I had a couple questions, although probably a good moment for a time check. We haven't heard anything from Rosanna, have we?
No.
No.
Okay, so we should just let Alexandra know we still don't know when we're going to have a quorum. We might know more at 6:30. I'm guessing at 6:30 we're either going to know that we have a quorum or we're going to need to, we'll postpone till the next meeting.
Okay, absolutely. I'll keep waiting for, I guess, Mimi at this point, since it did
Yeah.
sound like potentially she could be on, but I won't keep my
Yeah.
hopes up, but we'll play it out until about 6:30.
All right, my apologies. I think, most of what's on the meeting right now seems pretty simple and straightforward, but we just need enough bodies to have a vote.
That's okay, understood. I do have to ask, should there be no meeting tonight and it gets continued, is there a possibility that the board would be willing to schedule a special meeting?
Seems doubtful, but
Well, the only reason why that would also be difficult is because 2 of the members that we need currently aren't here to be able to establish a date.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, for sure, we could deal with it at our next scheduled meeting, but I don't think that we're going to be able to come up with another date, particularly, as Jeff said, since we're missing them.
As of right now, when is the next meeting?
November 15th.
Understood. We'll stick around until about 6:30, or until you guys decide that the meeting will end. But we'll definitely stick around.
Yeah. And I mean, our typical process is when we close a public hearing, we then wait 2 weeks to make a vote. But perhaps in this case, if we feel ready, we might be able to move it forward to a vote on the same day, but I'm not sure if we have everything we need, so.
Well, knowing that there's this lapse, and excuse me, please, I'm sorry for cutting you off, or perhaps cutting you off. While we've got them there, can I just address one thing to Alexandra?
Do we need to open the public hearing to do that?
No, because honestly, I could have called her, but because
Okay.
she's here. So Alexandra, one thing I noticed on the new document that you forwarded earlier today is the numbers still don't add up. So if you actually add up the numbers in the narrative, they're greater than 80 square feet. But then the sheet, the calculation chart doesn't seem to add up. It includes a 26 square foot sign, which isn't even listed in the narrative. So if this doesn't end up going off tonight, you may want to go check back with your sign consultant or sign person and figure out what the final numbers actually are.
Understood.
So I just want to kind of throw that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. I had a couple other things on my list of other business, hoping we might be able to talk about them since we can't do our other parts of the agenda. Maybe I'll bring them up now. And I don't, we have Attorney Bissonette here, so maybe you can help with some of them. I think on my list were we need to talk, we need to get can we get more information about the Mullen Rule and what needs to happen to move it forward so that we don't have this problem when people miss a meeting? I don't know if he's here or not.
Okay,
Hi, Mike. So the letter we got from Lisa Ball, I guess, indicated that the city has never accepted the Mullen Rule.
right.
So what needs to happen to move it forward? Is there anything the planning board can do?
Ask the city council to adopt it. I think if you had a resolution to adopt it, that would probably help.
So we just
Mike,
need,
Mike, one interesting
Go
thing
ahead.
about that is that the previous city solicitor told us that it had been adopted.
Yeah. We asked the city clerk, I guess that's where Lisa got the information, that the council had never adopted it.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's one of the, I guess, hard and fast rules in municipal government. If you have a lot of turnover in the clerk's office, you're not going to be able to have a very accurate list of what's been adopted. And sometimes you have to go back to the minutes, which is really tedious. But the list that's in Brenna's office is pretty up to date, pretty accurate, we found. So we sometimes have to double check by going back to the action resolves that were passed and then see if that corresponds with when the city allegedly adopted something. But in this case, I don't think the Mullen Rule was ever adopted. And to get that done, it has to get on the city council's agenda. So it can either be done by, I guess, correspondence from planning, or even get a counselor to sponsor an ordinance and have it run through ordinance and then back for approval. I don't think there'll be much objection to it. It makes all the sense in the world, given the technology.
to unmute myself. It sounds like it would be possible for us to send a letter to the council, starting that process, and then they'll refer it to the ordinance committee.
I would suspect that, yeah.
Would that be ordinance, or is that, because that goes into the code of ordinances, is that still ordinance, or is that some other committee?
No, that would be ordinance.
Okay,
We're trying to, we're working on
it
trying
wouldn't
to
be charter
segregate some
rules.
things out that aren't necessarily ordinance or bylaws, and get those away from the ordinance committee so that there's not a 27 item agenda when you all have to have your joint meetings. It just becomes fruitless. So I know they're concerned about that, and they're concerned about the length of the meeting. So I know that's been a concern in DGNR the last couple of meetings.
So perhaps the best way for us to proceed is to send a correspondence to them. So one of us needs to draft a correspondence.
Right.
Okay,
We'll work on it.
we can take that up. Is that something staff can do, and we'll address it at our next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you so much. The other legal question that I was wondering, Mike, can you update us? What's the status of how we can communicate with the legal department? Because I understand it hasn't happened for me, but I understand that, there's been some times when either staff or our chair wanted to get some legal information and it was hard to reach people and get a response. There was some talk that there was going to be someone in the legal team specifically to work with us, and then we haven't heard any more. Can you just let us know what the process is right now?
We're trying to fill, well, we hopefully have filled one attorney spot, but at the same time, we've lost our paralegal to become the assistant procurement director. So, and I myself have gone from full-time down to half-time. So we plugged in the other half with another lawyer, and we hopefully will be up to fully funded staffing within a month or so. How those assignments play out, I'm not really sure. I've been dealing with most of the real estate stuff and a lot of the housing court, but I've just been assigned to the project on the combined sewer overflow federal consent decree. So that's going to be a time eater for sure.
Mhm.
But I think if things work out and we bring in the person I think we're bringing in, that person may spend more time in planning and on the real estate end, and that's what we're hoping to achieve. And fingers crossed, we'll know more before the end of the week.
Okay, who, in the
And
interim,
if anybody knows a paralegal looking for a good job, we have one.
who should we, is there somebody specific we should be directing questions to if staff or board members have them? I think for a little while there was someone named Jean. Is
Yeah.
that person still there? Should we
Yeah.
be communicating with Jean?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Because I think that's going to depend on how Lisa wants to staff different issues, commissions and agencies. So that's sort of, I think, going to be dependent on the next person's skill set that comes in.
Mhm.
And so if this works out, Attorney X will be your point of contact. For now, feel free to email me
Okay,
and I'll make sure the question either gets answered or gets to somebody that can answer it.
Kate, can I ask a question?
yeah, sure.
Attorney Bissonnette, in the past, it was said that the planning board cannot ask the law department for a legal opinion. So has that changed?
I wasn't aware that that was a rule. I had not heard that.
Okay.
And as far as I know from our reading of the ordinances in the charter, all departments and all department heads are entitled to ask the city solicitor for an opinion.
Thank
So I
you.
don't know. I mean, other than very exempt agencies that operate under a charter from the state, water department, G&E, at least one other. But those are sort of outside agencies that don't necessarily have to rely on the city solicitor for legal advice. Everybody else, is entitled as a department to request it.
Okay. Great. Does anybody else have anything on the legal front?
I did just hear from Roseanne.
What's the news?
Be there in 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's see what else we can do. The one other thing on my other business list was, I don't know if we found out, someone was going to reach out, perhaps it was Mimi, but maybe someone else, maybe one of the staff knows. Can someone from our board go be part of the discussion about food trucks with ordinance? We pulled out of the discussion about zoning food trucks because we felt it wasn't a zoning issue, but then I think planning might have some input onto the whole larger question about citing of food trucks, even if it's not a zoning issue. Did we hear anything back from ordinance yet? Perhaps we'll have to wait for Mimi to find out.
I think that's on the agenda for ordinance tonight. If I remember correctly.
I don't remember when it was continued to.
Well, if wherever it was continued, he would have been at it. ADUs are continued to December 13th.
Right, and the zoning portion of food trucks was continued until January, but ordinance was gonna meet about it before then, so I didn't know.
Oh, sorry, food trucks, not ADU. You're right, just January 10th.
Okay, well, we can ask. Maybe if she gets here. So the one other thing we can deal with right now, I suppose, is talk about the meeting schedule. I was hoping to hold off on that, but we might as well use our time as well as we can. Jeff, you have anything you want to tell us about the meeting schedule?
Well, no, I mean, so obviously we got November 5th, so November is an off meeting week or off meeting. It's a different meeting month for the board in that a couple meetings ago, it was agreed upon that the meetings would be November 15th and the 29th. November 15th, we've got a new sign or special permit from the Hoyok Boys and Girls Club. It turns out when the, I guess, director, she submitted it to the building department, the application. So she was actually trying to get back on an agenda because she's changing her sign location from a westerly elevation to a northerly elevation on Cabot Street. So you'll be seeing that on the 15th. November 29th, we have a special meeting for the Northampton Street residential development, which you've already heard one time. And then on December 13th, you have the continuation of the drive-through facility on East Mountain Road. And then also further a zone change ADU discussion. And then on January 10th, there is the continuation of the food truck zones discussion, which I think at that point, the question was going to be whether or not a board member was going to be present to continue that discussion with the ordinance committee. So that's all I've got for that. And I think also, Kate, you had mentioned that you maybe wanted to also, as other business on the 15th, discuss ADUs and food trucks in general.
Yeah, that was my hope, just because I feel like we've done a little bit of thinking about how to change up our proposal, or not change it very much, but how to redraft or update the draft that we had of the proposal for the ADU. And I just want to make sure that everybody in planning is happy with where it is before we sit down and meet with ordinance on it again. And probably we could do the same about food trucks to see if there's any issues that we thought of that we want to bring to them.
Someone mind us sharing that draft again? I think by mistake I lost that application, email.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
And I got a question for Jeff for other business. Holyoke Landing, Popeye's Chicken, right? And they have one dumpster over there, garbage. Remember,
Well,
we
they
was
have one dumpster enclosure. However, they chose to put dumpster or dumpsters in it, I don't know.
so, but the closed dumpsters, anything you want to put more, but they have to be closed, right? Like
I don't know.
fence.
What was the
That's it.
question?
If you want to put the second dumpster, they have to be fence around.
Well, I mean, I don't know what size refuse container they've put in their enclosure, but if they were to add a second enclosure, that would be a modification to their site plan review. But whether or not it's a single roller in there, or if it's a, however many cubic yard, I don't know what it is, because all we ever get to see is the pad essentially and the enclosure.
Do you have any requests coming? Because they have second one sitting in the parking lot, and it's a cardboard, but they're throwing those chicken bags with all the flies and everything's are like getting dirty in that parking lot.
Is it in the Popeyes parking lot, or is it in the Because the way the parking goes there, it would have to be either in the Popeyes parking lot or it would have to be in the shared parking lot between building 1 and building 2.
I think it's in share, close to the Popeyes, but the share parking.
Okay,
And I took some pictures yesterday and it's very like dirty and nasty over there.
okay, well, if you can forward those pictures, I will contact Kevin tomorrow and ask him what the plan is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to quickly add, if 41 Temple Street special permit comes to the board, I will have to sit out, obviously.
It
No.
technically doesn't. What happens is that it's strictly a staff review. And it does, those special permits for motor vehicle uses do not go before the board.
Okay,
For instance, drive-throughs do, food does, and marijuana projects do, but this is one that drive-throughs do, yeah. But it's, motor vehicles do not.
thank you. Wait, does it go to then, the city council development committee? I forgot the full name of the committee. Who
At this
does it-
point, it'll go to development and government relations.
Okay, DGR.
Yep.
Thank you.
So it seems to me we've exhausted everything we can do on the agenda without another person. But it sounds like Rosanna will be here in 20 or 25 minutes. Is recessing for 20 minutes a reasonable call here?
May I quickly ask just one question?
Yep.
Is Rosanna able to vote on the UE project?
Yes,
Yes, but wait, but Nathan can't, right?
correct.
Correct.
So we
Well,
need
either
both,
way, without Mimi, you
so
won't have a quorum.
but we need 4
um,
people, yeah?
Edison, I'd like you to make a call on that. Do you wish to wait and see if Mimi is able to come? Or do you wish to take the time to get those narrative and descriptions revised, as Jeff Burkott mentioned? It's up to you.
I guess my question would be, would that be where, and we appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Would that be a point where it would perhaps stop the process tonight? Or would there be some other process that if approved, let's say, that would be able to kind of go through for confirmation?
It was a little hard to hear you. You were breaking up, but I think I can interpret. So I think that I can't speak with certainty because the board would need to deliberate and vote. But it seems to me that if you can fix the numbers and the numbers come in correctly, which Alexandra can speak with Jeff about between now and the next meeting, that if that is corrected, then my guess is that that is all we need. Jeff, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that.
Well, I mean, I can't say, it's technically a difficult one, because I mean, at the end of the day, the board can't approve anything more than 80 square feet. So, at this point, we wouldn't have the definitive details as to what the final signage is. Now, granted, it's only off by 1.15 square feet, but it's still not the final. At the end of the day, if the board, even let's just say, would the board be, if it were to close, would the board make the decision tonight? Would it have the votes to make the decision tonight? I guess I could only offer one more item to say, you could condition it that they provide a sign plan prior to the issuance of a building permit to install, and just know that they can't go above 80 square feet, and make sure that's said specifically in the decision. So at least you could perhaps, should we have a quorum tonight, should you be able to close it? And at that point, maybe if the board does desire, because this is, they could perhaps discuss a decision this evening as well. So it just depends, do you want necessarily that they're gonna, that, but you've got to you've got to condition it in such a manner that they, that it has to be reviewed by whether it be staff or someone prior to a building permit's issued, if the board wishes to do that.
Jeff, I'm sorry, my assumption was because typically we would, under normal circumstances, if we had what we needed, we would close tonight and vote
Right.
next time.
Right.
My thought is more that can they get, especially because they know the major outstanding issue
Yeah.
now, if they
Right.
can bring next time, if they can bring everything and it
Mhm.
is fine, then perhaps we could close and vote at the same time, because it's not,
Okay.
we've had
That
plenty
makes
of, we've had time to think about it, as long as they
Right.
can just rectify those numbers issues.
Right. I mean, so, it's up to you how you wish to move forward. But I mean, that would be another protocol as well, that you could do both on the 15th.
It just seems like that would get it done in just the same amount of time without them having to continue to wait here.
Right.
And they could fix the numbers and check with you to make sure the numbers look okay before the
Right.
meeting,
Yes.
which honestly they would need to be doing anyway. So
Right.
That
So
would be-
this is Edison. So either way, we would most likely have to wait either for a final vote after this meeting. And if we just wrap it all up in one session, then we'll still be on target for the November 15th date.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Because I think that given that this delay is ours and the problem and the proposal is not that difficult at this point, I think we could waive our usual process of waiting to vote till the next meeting and just deal with it at the same time on the 15th.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm not opposed to that.
Okay.
I guess we're 1 minute away from Mimi, so does that impact anything or
I think we
no?
need, we need both Mimi and Rosanna and,
Okay, all right.
and we still
okay.
need, honestly, we still need the correct numbers from you. So I think we can go
Alright.
through it now and condition, close, but condition the decision next time on receiving things, or we can just wait and do it all next time.
Yeah, I suggest reluctantly the next.
Sorry, Edison, we lost you for a
I
minute
said,
there.
I probably would propose reluctantly that we just do it all next time, unfortunately.
You'll get a decision just as quickly, I think, at this point.
Yeah. right.
All right, so, we will need to, once we have enough people, both open and close the public hearing, but am I correct, Jeff and Sharon, that they don't need to wait for it?
Yeah, they don't need
I
to
mean,
wait.
open and continue.
Thank you. Right,
Yeah.
right. And I only need, I can do 2 people due to lack of a quorum
Okay,
continuing.
so that's what we'll do, but all the folks from the White Hut don't need to wait around for that.
No.
Understood. Thank you for your
Okay,
time.
thanks, sorry.
That's okay. Understood.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So at this point, we only have a few things to do, but we might be able to do them in 15 minutes when people get here. Shall we just recess for the 15 minutes and then see if we have everybody here to do it?
I move that motion.
I'll second that.
All right,
By roll call vote, Nathan,
Yes.
Bernander,
Yes.
and Kate.
yes.
Okay, we are
Right.
in recess.
See everybody in 15 minutes. I'd like to call for a motion to reopen the meeting of the planning board.
No, resume is right.
Resume the meeting of the planning board.
So move.
Second.
Okay, by roll call vote, Gernander,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need to get Lauren in at this point if she's voting? Or only when we vote?
I only need 3 votes anyways,
Okay.
so I got
Alright.
them. So motion carried 4-0.
So let's take up the special permit for the fence height. Section 4.6.3.2 for 56 Sterling Road. We get to discuss that and vote.
Sorry, I was kind of sleeping. Special permit. Street. Right. Are we doing, what are we doing? Oh, 56 Sterling Road, round one.
Special permit for an increase in fence site,
Yeah.
56 Sterling Road.
Sterling. There it is. Share screen. Oh my God, I feel like a newbie here. It's not registering that it's open. Here it goes. Okay. You see that, right?
Yes.
Jeff, why is that book and page highlighted?
Well, because, wait, just go to the second page. I want to make sure this is the correct document. Sorry, I just want to,
Yeah, we had issues.
I'm
with
assuming that
this.
was something I wanted you to check because I didn't have I normally have you go over the first page just for that, and this may have been borrowed from another, the setup from another special permit. So I would just ask that on the application, did he provide that or did you put that in? I don't believe I had it.
Yeah, that's fine. And
And then
okay,
again, assuming that the board was going to, presumably approve, but these would be, again, your findings under 1 through 6. And then under 4632E, presumably it'd be for the front yard for a special permit to exceed fence height. And those are the bullet points provided, and those could be also part of your findings specifically for those, this particular case. It could be all or one of them.
As I read it, that I felt like it would be fine to leave all of them in there. I was just wondering whether we would make the piece that follows about the site triangle into a separate bullet point or just a declarative statement. Just to have, instead of just listing the portion from ordinance, that it could say, in addition, the fence meets the criteria of,
well,
just change the beginning of the sentence right after all the red stuff, where it says E front yard, just change I would say propose.
I will remember that's directly taken from the ordinance. So that's ordinance language there. So maybe you want to create another sentence after that.
Or just in front of it, in addition, the fence meets the criteria
So you're gonna,
And
but remember that E is the ordinance, so do you want to
Oh,
put that
that's the
sentence?
ordinance right there.
Right, so just put it in front of that.
Okay, way over there. And what do you want it to say?
Well, just to have, say something like, in addition, this fence meets the criteria.
Or, sorry for joining late, you could do something like pursuant to our ordinance, E front yard, the board found that the site triangle is not impacted by this fence.
That's the will of the board. I can make that happen.
Either way,
Yeah, it's fine with me either way. It just seemed like it should say something about, listen to tape. It should just indicate that it met that criteria.
yeah,
Got it. Because Mimi said it so beautifully, I don't want to make her repeat it, so.
as if I could.
I know. Okay, so it'd be Mimi on a vote, Kate, Gernander, Rosanna
Remember, Gernander can't vote on this one.
on this one.
And let's just hope that the recording is good, right, Sharon?
No problem on my end. Okay. Everything else is okay up here? Anything outstanding? These are all okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, so now that Mimi's back to chair the meeting,
Ha ha.
well, I can continue.
Can I
Yeah,
just
I think
offer
at
one-
this point, it's probably much more efficient for you to keep on because you know.
Right, because
what
I know
always happens.
what's still on.
Yes,
Can I just offer one more thing though? And again, I know this is, maybe it's just getting late for me or something, but above the 5 bullet points in the draft, it already says the board found that the proposed meets the criteria of 4632E front yard, then listed the 5 bullet points directly from that. And then E, do you want to say it meets the criteria again?
I think Jeff, I think either it needs to be a bullet point like the above, or it needs to say something like in addition, because otherwise it's a paragraph hanging out there that it's not clear that it's connected with the previous.
What if you put one of those stars at the end of the front yard and then star it down here, that's what the reading of the front yard E stands for?
And
Sure.
I'm not trying to be difficult either. So it's once, again, whatever you wish, but I
Or,
just,
or what Sharon just said, I just think there needs to be some way to connect, to say why we're saying what we're saying.
okay.
Do I still need to listen to the tape?
No,
You
just
still
put a
want to
star
listen to the
there.
tape?
Yeah.
That's fine. That works. I just didn't want it to be hanging out in the middle of.
Okay,
So can I have an emotion to approve the special permit for the fence site at 56 Sterling Road?
Make the motion.
Can I have a second?
how's everybody doing in that conference room? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, we can hear you guys. I'm just
Okay.
playing catch up. I apologize.
It's okay. Does anybody want to second the motion?
So Kate made the motion?
Mimi made the motion.
Mimi. Hi, Mimi. I'll second that.
Gernander can't.
Gernander can't vote on this one because you weren't there.
Sorry.
I second the motion.
Somebody else. Thank you,
Nathan
Nathan.
seconds the motion.
Okay. All those in favor by roll call vote. Mimi,
Aye.
Nathan,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's continue with what's still outstanding on the meeting agenda, which is we can vote on the minutes and we can have that discussion about hybrid presentations and the SPR applicant checklist.
Would you like me to pull the minutes up again for Mimi's
Let's
quick
do
view?
that. Yes, Mimi and Rosanna, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else has been okay with the minutes, but we just didn't have enough people to vote on them.
Well, this was an easy one, and I would vote to approve those minutes.
Great, because we are doing it as a package.
Oh, even better.
And I'll pull up the next one. Wow. In a second. We are not on our game today.
Well, you're doing better than some of us.
There must be a full moon. Okay, Fence Street, Elm Street. Share screen. Okay.
That looks right.
Okay, Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
and last but not least,
The monster. Okay, the one change I would make to this, since it was a public hearing, is instead of saying there was no public comment, I would say no member of the public commented.
Was that the meeting with, when the ladies were here though? Or they didn't say anything? They were just here in support of? I'm
Yeah, I
confused.
don't remember whether Helene said anything or not, but I think not.
Okay, okay, you're probably right, Mimi. Your brain is better than mine.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I know she did comment to thank us after we approved it.
Yes, that's what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, she had commented at a previous meeting.
so you're telling me that Helene Florio may have been at this meeting and just didn't comment?
I think I feel like what happened is that they were here, but we had to go over to ordinance, and by the time we came back and actually had the public hearing,
Yes.
they had to leave.
You're correct, Kate. Yep.
Okay, so I'm not gonna put anybody else that was present because,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that I have this wording across the board on the other ones.
yeah, I just don't want to allow for a reading that says we didn't hold public comment. We did ask them.
All right.
Okay, so those three are the only ones that needed a decision. since
So
we
can I have
tabled it.
a motion to approve as a package the three public hearing, the minutes for the three public hearings from September 27th?
So moved.
This one I can second, right? I was
Right
there.
there.
Second,
Okay, all those in favor by roll call vote, Mimi,
Yes,
Gernander,
yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Kate,
Yes.
and Nathan is abstaining.
Yes, abstaining.
Okay, that's that one in the minutes.
So the other item on the public meeting agenda still outstanding is old business board discussion of hybrid presentations and SPR applicant checklist. Which one first? Jeff, do you want to?
Well, I mean, which one does the board want to take up first? I mean, I forwarded you all a recent red edited document further clarifying some of the points. So I mean, if you want to take that up first, that's fine.
Let's do
And,
that.
Sharon, can you
Yeah.
please put it up? And from what I understand, if you didn't open it up in Word, it may have had a 5th page because of the way that the, say Gmail or your mail might have
Yeah.
displayed it as 5 pages instead of 4, but it really is 4 pages.
And I would say that I told Jeff my comments about it, and I would say there were some things that I might have changed if I were writing it for just writing the document, but they were things that had been written in that way because it was taken straight from the ordinance, which makes a lot of sense. So as far as I'm concerned, all the comments that I had that made sense to change, Jeff has made. So I'm fine with this as it is.
And I know similarly, Nathan made some comments, and if he wishes to speak, obviously he can, but some of the changes that he was seeking were changes to the ordinances. And
Yeah.
basically all this is taking the ordinances and just creating a checklist out
Yeah.
of them. So we really shouldn't be altering anything that's ordinance related, because otherwise a applicant might see this as, well, now it's even more confusing because I've got two documents, that being the ordinance and this, that aren't the same or coinciding. So
Yeah, I understand that. I think, that's putting that aside. I think my main, key point was the submittal checklist, I guess, which is 10.1.4.3. It appears twice
Yep,
on
on
page.
purpose.
Yeah, and I was like, that was my main pet peeve, but I think, yeah.
Well, like I
so-
said, the reason why is there's a submission checklist and then there's a contents checklist, essentially. So we do the same thing with the Board of Appeals, that I want the applicant, because the applicant and the owner might be two different things. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna want 2 separate signatures. It's not gonna kill them, but at least it's gonna further define that here we hereby certify that you've given us all these submission things. But in this case here, this is the application checklist to show that it's also included. I know it's duplicative, but it's it's independent, but it's part of both. If that makes sense.
But when they submit the application, they submit all this at once, right? Or is it like
Yeah.
2 different steps?
Yeah, they're submitted all
Yeah.
at once. And it's
Yeah.
not gonna kill them to write their name twice.
Okay. Yeah, I just for me, it was confusing, just kind of pretending to be an inexperienced applicant. It was confusing. But if there is the rationale, it makes
Because
sense.
I want Sharon
Yeah.
to be able to be looking at the second document to say, okay, they're hereby certifying that A through I have been submitted. So therefore, she should be looking at the second page 4, which later we can, I'm gonna make that page 4 its own document. So it's actually gonna be 2 documents.
okay.
One is the application checklist and one is the submission checklist. But I want Sharon to be able to say, okay, just quick A through J, look at, they've done all this and they're hereby signed off. And that last page, page 4, also includes any regulations or statutes or final thoughts. And that right there, because again, the last asterisk, Sharon, if you can scroll down a little bit, is all required documents shall be signed and sealed by the appropriate design professional. This is kind of like that place. If there's any other things that, being the reviewer, say, of the primary reviewer, I want them up front to know that. But if there's other items that you all are hearing repeatedly, this would be a good place to add them. But so this is the final checklist from the signature of applicant or agent of the owner. This is them signing off that we've now hereby submitted all this stuff and that we're going to abide by any of these asterisks. Now, I know in the past, we've also said some pretty strong language, like failure to provide a complete submittal we shouldn't even be accepting this. But this is, but that's also the application checklist, which is the first 3 pages that they're signing off that they've hereby provided all of that information within their contents documents.
So hypothetically, you're expecting this to be used and it's not a complete submittal when they come here and they've missed something.
That's the
If
idea.
Right, correct. If they've forgotten one check or they haven't, now some of these things, in particular on the first 3 pages, if they're not, that they may not check off the perspective drawing, but then in their waivers, they should say request for a waiver of perspective drawing. And is that letter included? Yes, presumably, because otherwise, it shouldn't be accepted because they don't have the waiver request there. And that's on page 3 or 2. Yeah, 2.
So I had one relatively minor comment, and it was from the very bottom, which is, are those 5-day and 3-day, whether business day or not, is that enough time?
Well, see, the tricky thing about that is that's directly from your rules and regulations, you being the
Yeah.
board. So, that's the parameters we've kind of tried to use. But again,
Yeah.
we're trying to remain, business friendly and business sensible. So, ideally, knowing that these are 5 business days for, let's see, that no new business should be received, but, these days, if it's new business, primarily it's public hearing, so we've got it weeks in advance, but this would be arguably like, an A&R, but oftentimes we can put an A&R on a plan within those 5 days and still get it done. The
Yeah.
3 business days prior to for the revision stuff, that's like we have a project and, we're getting the notes that morning. It doesn't really float. So that 3rd
Yeah.
business day, arguably that's that would be Monday, Friday, Thursday. So technically they should be getting it to us the Wednesday before at the latest at 4:30. But
Yeah, no.
ideally, is it always ideal? No. But at this point, again, trying to maintain a business friendly aspect in this, development world, we're doing the best we can to manage around it. Would I like a couple more days? Sure. But, I'll play the cards I'm dealt, and hopefully, what was tough with some recent submittals is that when they gave us revised materials 3 days in advance, it was like doing a whole new site plan review because there were so many changes because they gave us so little information to work with.
Well, exactly. And,
Yeah.
my thinking here is, yes, you've taken this from the rules and regulations. And yes, we have made an effort in the past couple of years to enforce that 3-day thing, although we don't always do it. We do
Well,
find
just-
ourselves accepting last minute stuff now and then,
Right.
and that's
Just
on
tonight
us.
As an example, is the White Hut signage just
Yeah.
came in today.
Yeah. But the rules and regulations are within our control. We can re-examine them. We can vote new time limits in if we want to. And, it may be kind of unfair to staff in a way because, of course, members of the board are not subject to the same kind of political pressure. We do not have bosses telling us what we must do to be business friendly. But, I kind of think that in terms of being useful to applicants, if it is not entirely realistic to say that we will always have time to review things adequately if they dump them on us on, late Wednesday afternoon and there are significant changes, it makes more sense to say, in the rules, we need them a week in advance than to say, well, we don't want to say that, but really we do. And, now would be a time to consider, maybe we adopt this now and consider amending it to reflect longer timelines in the rules later. Maybe this is just a matter of enforcing our own rules better. And maybe there is some nuance that we could possibly draw, although in the instant I'm not seeing how, between you submitted us revisions that we can totally do in 3 days, like the White Hut, or you submitted us revisions that amount to a whole new plan and come on, guys. It is out of order by any realistic standards to be submitting these 3 business days in advance. We can't possibly review them. Again, I don't know how we would write that rule because it's very case by case.
I feel like we should go ahead and approve
But
this. Oh, sorry.
yeah, no, I'm happy to go ahead and approve it now for, it reflects our current rules. I felt like we should think about whether it's enough time.
I think that's fair. But I would say, let's do this now and then come back to that, put that on a future agenda.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Do we want to just make sure that the document is how you want it? Because there's some red stuff on here, like page 1 of
Well,
meeting.
why the red stuff is there is this was the stuff that I, had received from
Comments?
comments. So that was just, I wanted the other board members to know that those were the changes that were made to the original document that I'd forwarded.
Date of meeting or date of public hearing?
No, because it's not a public hearing. This is a pre-application meeting.
Oh, meeting, date of meeting. Got it. Okay.
You're jumping to some conclusions there by making all these changes without the board agreeing to them though, Sharon.
Well,
And some
Isn't that
of
what
the corrections you were just making were actually the way the ordinance was written.
I didn't change ordinance stuff.
No, earlier you were going through and like there were some other little correction-y things, that's just the way because this was a direct copy and paste.
Okay.
Doesn't
So-
matter.
Are we okay with date of meeting here?
yep,
Okay.
But that line now, though, you've got to bring that line up to its, because that line's not meant, keep it on the same line just to save space. Now bring up meeting to be at
Yep.
the,
I'm working
Okay.
on it.
sorry.
Here it goes. We okay with this here?
Yeah, I had just suggested the clarification there. It's better.
We okay here?
Mhm. Should that just be in parentheses?
It could be, sure.
Because that's something that's not,
Yep.
yeah.
that's an aside. I think it's a useful aside, but it's an aside.
Are we okay that we've added all the section references?
I think it's helpful.
And so for the next red part, I was just looking for some kind of text that would basically lock the signer into owning it.
Okay.
No, it's kind of a bold statement, so, this will
Well-
be, is that something that the board wishes to include?
I'm comfortable with it if staff is comfortable with having to review every one of these things that gets submitted and make sure that, in fact, it is complete before you accept it, because planning staff will not accept incomplete applications, does kind of put that burden on you.
Oh, true, but I mean, but on
Actually,
some
put
level,
that burden on me.
no,
No,
but on
I
some
meant you
level, I was gonna
collectively.
say, it's gonna be a joint effort between, Sharon and myself or whomever else to look at this stuff and say, at least make sure they've checked all the boxes. And then later, when we find out that, I mean, I don't necessarily know how big of a review it has to be, because they're attesting to its completeness. So if they check the box that the locus, the perspective, and the stormwater is there, and later we find out it's not, at that point, I guess, who builds the case to say, well, gee, you didn't, where is this stuff? Because you attested to the fact that it was there. So, I mean, I guess, what's the penalty for failure for it to be there? I guess that's the
Yeah.
bigger question.
Yeah, I mean, what it says here is that you're just not going to accept it.
Right.
And I think if somebody is in a position to look it over and ensure that at least on its face, everything is there, then, not a problem. But
A lot of
No.
times you get an office person who's dropping off the submittal. So a lot of times we may have to look it over for its completeness after they've left, so not stamp it in
Yeah.
until we
so-
looked at it.
So maybe we just need a follow-up document saying, that we'll go to the applicant after somebody has looked at it, saying, we have accepted this.
That makes
Which
sense.
could probably be the scanning of the application, which gets stamped at the clerk's office, and then you send it off to the applicant that your application is now
Received.
received.
Well, but received and accepted, I think, this is a separate, it's not just we have received it if planning staff is not going to accept it, if they're incomplete. It can't
Right.
just be that somebody at the clerk's office looked at it and it looked okay. But if we then do a separate, your application will be accepted when you get this document saying we looked at it and we accepted.
Can we state something stating that they have to await like an email or something? Like stating that just because it's submitted doesn't mean it's accepted. You have to wait for it to be reviewed, like somehow word that in there.
So let me clarify something. Jeff, are we gonna get a drop off of all kinds of materials from whoever and say to them right away, we're not accepting it, take it back, it's missing development impact statement? Or are we holding it and saying this is not complete and therefore not considered accepted?
Well, see, so I guess.
Can we do both?
It's perhaps a greater conversation, which obviously we're gonna have right now. So it's, they've given us these forms, they've checked the boxes, but now we've got to be accountable to the fact of looking at this checklist to show that they've provided everything they say they did. So, but at that point, if this just happens to be a developer staff person dropping a box off and they don't know anything, and at that point, they've got to go because their car's double parked on High Street, do we then say, well, at this point, we will review your application submittal documents, and then we'll follow up with a letter to, that we formally have stamped and received these plans upon review of a complete, to find out if it's a complete submission, or however you want to say that. I mean, that might be a new step that we're creating for ourselves, but I think it's a necessary one to then close the loop on the applicant's end to know that we've officially accepted it.
Way back in the day, under the Shirley process, she would not once they stamped the application as received at the clerk's office, that was sent certified to the applicant.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's our
So do
mechanism.
we put a note on this to say upon accepted or upon acceptance that you will receive a,
Email confirmation or something,
or stamped, no, I was gonna say stamped copy of your application with,
Yeah.
showing approval or something to that effect. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, basically, what we're
stamp doesn't
doing
mean
is
it's ex-
bifurcating the submission process. They can submit the documents. We'd rather they didn't submit it at all until they're complete, but they're accepted when you decide that they should be accepted,
Yeah.
when
Is
everything
there-
is there.
Is there a way to do this electronically where I feel like it's very gray when people are taking things in and stamping them and calling? Like, I feel like there could be a lot of miscommunication.
But see,
And-
doing electronic submissions on site plans is a nightmare because there's
Not
even
really
less
submitting
oversight.
it, but like responding back.
Oh, so it's responding back that it's been formally received?
Yeah, I was
Yes,
thinking. that
and
would be
then
s-
accepted, because they're two
Okay.
different things. Just because they're received, they're not accepted.
So the board has received your submittal. It will not be accepted.
Or
Until-
it's being processed, period. Not getting too technical. We received it, it's being processed. Please wait for further directions, instructions, whatever the case may be. just to make it like a little bit more simple, because I feel like we're delegating too many people, too many jobs.
Um, May I add one thing? I mean, I guess, I think we are getting hung up on the last sentence. Planning staff will not accept income applications. I mean, one way to think about it is, I'm wondering if we can replace that with something like, basically, if you don't have a complete application, you can't hold a hearing. So, I'm wondering, you can say something like planning staff and board cannot hold hearings or cannot schedule hearing until they received and reviewed a complete application.
But at that point, so if you're saying to remove that last sentence, which I'm not opposed to, but if you remove that last sentence and put what you're saying, it leaves it back open to where we are now, receiving incomplete submissions. And, there's still, then now we're doing all this review to find out there's at least a threat here that we're not even going to start review, that we won't accept this. But by leaving it open that we're going to do this, arguably a review on it, just seems like we're back to where we are now.
Yeah, because I thought some of the genesis of this was to eliminate the situation where something gets submitted and we begin the process and it becomes really clear that they were not ready to submit. We don't have everything we needed. They haven't thought through key things. And then we get yelled at because it's taking forever for the hearing to proceed, when in fact, the hearing should not really even have been called. They weren't ready.
Right.
And, it is true that if we have that sentence about the staff won't submit or won't accept incomplete applications, it puts further burdens on staff because there's an additional implied step to the process. Acceptance is no longer the same thing as you dumped it off. But it is, I think, a key enforcement mechanism if we mean this. You can't just launch the process or ask us to launch the process and then change your plans for 6 months while we hold hearings every other month and nothing seems to be happening.
Is
See,
Jack in
but-
this meeting?
But by adding that sentence that you just typed, Sharon,
Yeah,
totally invalidates the previous sentence, because now you're offering once complete, staff will send acknowledgement, but at what point? So how does that play in? Planning staff will not accept incomplete applications. Once complete, staff will send an acknowledgement. To me, that's apples and oranges, because now it sounds like what's complete? The incomplete submission they just gave me, and now I'm telling them that
Well,
it's complete because they've given me all the new stuff.
I
But
have a
hang on a second.
concern.
If we take that sentence out and just put it back the way it was, this is a procedural thing and it is, I think, conceptually separate from the submittal checklist. We can figure out what the actual process is separately once we have agreed that, this is what we want. This form is what we want. This is what we want them to attest to. Later, we can add the, one sheet. I don't think it will be more than a few sentences that lays out whatever process we decide is going to be most effective for what constitutes a complete application, or how it is acknowledged and what constitutes acceptance. I'm sorry, not what constitutes a complete application, because we just did that.
The more I think about it, I get a little worried. There are times, for instance, we have a project before us now where we're getting badgered to say specifically whether we're going to need any more information. And sometimes we think we will need more information. I'm a little worried that there may be times when saying that we've accepted that it's a complete application might actually come back to haunt us if we later want more information.
Yes, so we
But it's
probably
the
need,
application versus the information. So if you still want additional information, as long as you check the boxes, arguably it's complete. But if you want further information on one of those submissions, I don't see why you can't ask for it.
Right, but some people in front of us right now would use this would take this to the mat to argue it, which leads me to wonder whether we might not just be better off just using the first two sentences. That
Okay.
they say it, because the first sentence indicates that they think it's complete.
Right.
And the second sentence says, if you don't give us everything, it's going to slow down the process. But it doesn't commit us to agreeing that their application is complete.
Yeah, well, I think the other way we could approach that is further define the fact that a complete application does not in any way constrain the board, which may find that it needs further information down the line.
Right, so you could put further information may be requested as the hearings happen.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, this is just what we require to get the process started.
Correct.
It's not all the information that we would ever need, because we wouldn't need to hold hearings if the application contained all of the information we could ever need. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I think that it is a wise caution. And it makes sense to add something that reflects this is not everything we could possibly need. It is just what is needed to launch the process.
So at this point, that we should remove the third sentence then, that we will not accept incomplete applications.
How about we will not process incomplete applications because we already accepted it?
Well, we don't accept
no,
it until we stamp it.
Well, we could say we will not schedule public hearings on incomplete applications.
That's better. How do we feel about that?
I was asking if Jack was in the meeting because I feel like he's king of receiving incomplete applications. So I was wondering like what his input would be, what he would like to see. Because I feel like he's always getting these incomplete applications.
And Sharon, instead of on, I would do with.
With incomplete applications.
Planning staff will not
Yeah.
schedule public hearings with incomplete application.
Rosanna, I'm sure that if Jack is around, he will comment, but is he a co-host? Oh, he's got it. He's king, I might be queen, because planning is right up there. You just don't hear about all the incomplete stuff. The second original application we have to chase, getting the other second half of the check because they made a mistake. The envelopes
Yeah.
that they forgot to submit. Oh, I didn't know I had to do a traffic impact statement.
Well, hopefully this checklist will help
Yeah.
some of that.
Okay, so how does that sound?
Just take
when
out the
that's-
question marks.
Yep, I just want to make sure we're okay there. We good?
Yep, seems good to me.
Can I get rid of draft?
Yes,
Yeah, no,
I was just doing that for a placeholder, so I'd know what
Yeah.
copy I was working on.
sorry, I'm still fretting over that last line. Further information may be requested by the planning board during the public hearing process.
Required?
Because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, this is an application checklist. Is that necessary?
I
Yep.
think because of what Kate said earlier, it might be necessary.
well, that's just information for the applicant, but yeah, I think that having it somewhere in the document, possibly this paragraph is the wrong place for it, but noting somewhere that this is a this is an application, but it does not represent all of the information that we could possibly need. Yeah.
So
let's
should
leave
that
it
go
for
on
the
the
time
page,
being.
should that go on as an asterisk on the page 4 then, where it's kind of under the submission? So that, like I said, I created this generic list of things here that was like based on, I shouldn't say generic, but it's based on chapter, verse. And like I said, all required documents must be, would this be a place to add that additional information may be
Yeah,
requested?
that's a good place to put it. You're right.
Yeah, yep.
You're right.
I'd have it in both places, honestly, but
Well, if you feel
one
like
is-
it is more prudent to put it in both places, I'm not going to argue against prudence.
Okay. Because I was just gonna make the argument, contents versus submission, where this this is about submissions of materials, this the 4th page,
Yeah.
where the first half is just the contents of the submission,
You say,
10152.
the applicants are advised
451.
that
Hold on a second. Is there a lot?
okay,
Where is it? Are we good?
I think we're good.
And we're keeping business days in there,
Keep business days in there.
and all documents, all required documents shall be signed and sealed by the appropriate design professional. Keep all that. Any other way? Oh, fee. We're okay here on the fee? This is a line for us to fill in the blanks, I assume. Did we
It'd be
lose-
a line for the applicant, just to kind of tie it together from the submission checklist to the application checklist.
All set? No other red. Okay,
Okay, motion to adopt.
so moved.
And again, it's just a fluid document, knowing that if we
Second,
find out it
second.
fails after the first couple, we can always, the board can always amend this, so.
Yeah, this is our
How do you-
document.
I have a first and I have a second. By roll call vote, Nathan,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes,
Mimi,
Yes,
Bernander,
Yes,
Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yay, thank you, Jeff and Sharon.
yeah, Jeff.
Thank you.
CPTC workshop. We're good? Kate,
do we want to discuss that? You want to know, but people can just contact you individually about what they want to go to, right?
right, so the only concern is not I cannot afford to pay for all 5 board members to go to all 10 things. So I don't know how to find out if someone goes to one of the workshops and they get access to the video, or doesn't go and we have access to a video, is that video shareable?
We can contact CPTC on that, but
Okay,
obviously we can't do it till tomorrow.
right, but in the meantime, what's the next first one coming up?
I'm
So they-
interested, I'm interested in the non-conforming structures one, but if payment is a problem, you should pay for somebody else to go and I'll cover mine.
Non-conforming structure, right, number 8.
Yeah.
I know that Lauren was interested in all of them.
I just have a lot to learn, so I figured this was a good course of action.
Lauren, what I've been doing is just like trying to take one each time they come out with a new list, because it's a lot it's a lot to take in, and so I've just been trying to tick them off. Not tick them off, but
I understand.
check them off.
Like my question was, Jeff, which we'll address, like Tuesday, December 13th, if we pay for someone to not go or go, you get the video. If you register and you don't go, you get the video. So do we get the video and is it shareable?
I would assume it is, but
So,
because right now you can currently buy the previous ones for 20, just be, I mean, I know there's a benefit to being live to a degree to be able to ask questions, but these are also all available for $20 on the CPT's website. And I believe it is just the web link, but I mean, we can reach out to CPTC tomorrow and find out, answer those questions.
all right. So Lauren, I'll be in touch with you on the upcoming ones. And we'll go from there. Once I find out the answer to that question. Okay, I'm done on that.
All right, and before we leave the public meeting agenda, the one other thing that I think we didn't cover but could is discussing hybrid presentations.
So I have the microphone in the room working. So if I had a presenter in there, you all can't see what they're presenting because I'm not screen sharing. And you're not in the room to see whatever it is they're presenting good enough.
Is it?
So do we want to encourage those presenting to be on Zoom? Or they can be in there talking, but how do you, unless I'm sitting in the room with them and managing the same plan that they're showing? And who are they presenting to, you or the public?
No, I would assume that as long as the legislature is authorizing hybrid hearings, and as long as we're doing it, in part for the sake of public access, it makes sense to ask presenters to present via Zoom rather than coming in person. Because, we know that a high percentage of our actual attendees, members of the public, will come in remotely rather than physically coming in. And it's true, you can't see anything on, if you're attending at home and not in that conference room. And it's all very well for us because, if I can't see something, there's still a physical presentation and I can get it and review it. But I think it's harder for members of the public. So
in some cases where the presenters like to show up in person for whatever reason to avoid communication issues, I do wonder they can bring a laptop and then present from their laptop. Maybe that's just too complicated.
Well, the only laptop that they can use through the smart board, and I'm not sure if that's the right method, is the one
Right.
in the room there. They can't bring
Yeah.
their own. It's a security thing.
Yeah.
If I got that right, I'm not sure.
And I'm not sure either if the suggestion is that if you're more comfortable presenting in person, you could come and then just do your presentation via Zoom from your
And maybe they'd-
laptop.
And maybe they
Then
have,
there's no, what's the point of coming in
Right.
person?
Right. Right.
And everybody in the room now needs to bring their laptop, even though they're there live.
we'll try to move in the direction of presenters being Zoom.
Yeah, well, I am only one voice and others may disagree with me. So I'm going to shut up now and let everybody else talk.
Is there a way that presenters could, presenters who really want to be in person, could they have their materials available in a way such that one of the staff could screen share it at the same time?
Remember when they had a Westfield planning board meeting? They have the system over there, so applicant come with their laptop and they hook up with the screen and they show, I think they had a side separate screen. I don't know, there was the same screen they were sharing it because they don't have a Zoom, everybody was in person. and they bring all the document in their laptop and they show it on the screen. It was a beautiful thing, you know.
So who are they showing it for? Those in the room or those on the Zoom?
I know, to the room. Everybody was in the room. They don't have anybody on Zoom.
Like
Yeah.
projected, like a projector?
Projector, yes. So they don't do any Zoom meeting. Everything's in person in Westville.
The only difference with Westfield is all the planning board members are
Westfield does not
given-
allow remote access at all.
Right.
Right, so if I did we used to use the screen in the room to project a presentation, but then I can't run Zoom for you to see unless someone else shows me how. I don't think I can do
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, no, I think the Westfield thing is completely different. They do have the technology to do that if they would like, as we saw in the mayor's office the other day, but they don't use it. They are all live for their public hearings and their meetings, which, I think, I said I would shut up and I will shut up.
And also Westfield, they are all the board members have laptops given to them by the city so that they can view various items as well. So unlike Holyoke.
Yes.
I'd vote for our staff to get better computers before we get laptops, but
Second.
Yes, I would vote for somebody to look at all of the computers and see whether there is a ton of bloatware on those damn machines, because that can cause all the problems that you guys are having. And I gather that a lot of people will set them up and not even look at all of the crap that came pre-installed on the computer. But this is a frolic and detour. But no, I think if we were going to do the Westfield thing, we would have to do the Westfield thing and just not have hybrid for anybody.
yeah, I have found when we had presenters in person, it didn't matter to me whether I was in the room or virtual. It was always hard to see what they were presenting, which is unfortunate, but under the current system, for me, it was true. Like, I was only able actually to figure out what they were presenting when I was in person if I had my laptop to look at it.
I do wonder, I mean, maybe it's not ideal, but just trying to reposition the camera, maybe put it on the other side of the laptop, basically, if we can place the camera in a way where the presenter can get a good angle of their whatever they're presenting. Yeah, when Gary Rome was here, he was like standing in the corner with the big board, I think, and I could barely see anything from Zoom. So yeah, I wonder how hard it would be to reconfigure the camera to make it a little bit easier for them to present.
Well, the presenter would have to get closer,
Right.
and us viewing the board is not so important at that time of presenting, I would imagine.
But even currently, like, it's really hard for me to see anybody who's in the room. Like, I
Yeah.
miss. I
Yeah.
can hear what all of you are saying, but I can't see. I can't see you in a way that's satisfying either.
At a wide angle, right?
And
Yeah, and the angle is weird, and
I can always move it
far away.
closer.
And I honestly don't understand what the advantage is to a presenter to being in person. We can't see the presentation as well. We're talking about all of these hacks to try to improve it. But, under those circumstances, why would you particularly want to be in person rather than in a situation where you could show people what you were talking about?
I mean, some people are just more comfortable in person, and the opportunity to see people face to face. I understand why that means something to people, but in a hybrid situation, it's hard to make that work.
Yeah, and we don't have the camera system that you get to cut from, you know, one view to the other view like at city council. We don't have that up here.
Yeah, being, if we had two cameras, it would be very different.
Yeah, the other thing would be if city council is at some point not using their chambers, but they're always using their chambers. They're very busy.
Yeah, they're there all the time. And I mean, is there really no budget for a second camera? I mean, you know, Zoom can handle Zoom can handle one camera at a time. We can switch between two cameras. Somebody just gotta walk up and switch. So
Well, let's put it this way, the camera system in the room right now is free and it came from Hoyoke Media.
ooh,
So-
okay,
We've paid nothing for it. There's no budget for that unless you
Okay.
go see the mayor.
okay. All right.
I mean, I guess I would encourage applicants to attend on Zoom, but not require them to do it, and we'll just have to live with it.
Well, before we're done, I'll zoom in and see if I can make it more visible.
Yeah, no. One question that I would ask is how much of a burden is it on staff to attempt to run these things when there are live presenters? Because my impression is that it makes it harder on you guys, but perhaps I'm just projecting.
No, I run back and forth. Doesn't
So
mean I
if we
can't.
just, I mean, if we ask people to plan on doing it via Zoom, we are in fact saving you a certain amount of trouble.
At this time.
Well, listen, I worry about these things. Sorry.
Okay.
So how long this Zoom gonna go before we're gonna be in person? Idea?
We don't know. The current legislative authorization for Zoom runs out, I believe, March 31st. Expectation last I looked was that they are going to extend the authorization permanently because it's really good for public access. But we don't know that. Our legislature is not always perfectly efficient. Huh. Cool split screen effect.
That's kind of better.
I can't see myself standing there. See the screen? How about?
A little farther towards them. Because we won't be able to see Rosanna.
I might have to have tech support come up because that's bizarre. That is.
Now we can see the board, and if members of the public came to the mic that's in the other side of the room. But I don't feel like that camera's working.
All right, then we'll play with it tomorrow.
Okay.
Jeff, is there anything else that you had any other project updates? since it's just the board here?
The only item I've got is that I did finally receive a legal opinion today from Riverdance. I just didn't want to bring it up earlier because of the others present in the room.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna argue that she didn't answer the questions I want answered. But she found every reason why to say that Juniper doesn't exist, which I think we already kind of came to terms, or rather that's not a public way. I kind of already knew it wasn't a public way. I knew it was a private way. So I later followed up with her with another series of questions, but this might take another 6 weeks to get a reply. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I want to know, though it's a private way, and I know part of her opinion is that it's owned by Kane, but yet the deeds only say by Juniper, which again, that's something I've got to get over. But it's in other circumstances, like we would argue that setbacks are measured from private ways. Divisions of land are made on private ways. And that's even spelled out in our A&R paperwork, where there's 4 criteria that must be met for an A&R, and that this almost answers that question as well. But if he's going to own it, one of my questions I had asked the law department back in September was, well, if he's going to eventually claim ownership and that they're going to accept it, how do we tax it? And that was not brought up in this letter. Setbacks, taxes, making it part of the property. If Kane says he owns it, why isn't it part of his property? Or how do we make him make it part of his property? Because otherwise he's seeing a benefit that no other, or presumably no one else is enjoying in the city, because they're all paying taxes. So I've since sent her another email back out that, because it was like within minutes of the send or receipt, I immediately asked the questions that I had asked back in September, and I haven't heard back from her again. So I'm hoping to get some kind of conclusion to that before the 29th, and hopefully in time for when they get me the revised materials. I will forward that to everybody tomorrow just for your review. Obviously it's a document that she's signed it, but I think we already kind of established, and asking the neighbors or the abutters attorney, he said, yeah, he goes, there's no point of even fighting that. And that was weeks ago. So I was actually, I got more out of an outside counsel for an abutter than I did our law department. So anyways, I'll forward that to you all tomorrow, just for the read of it. But I just kind of would love to have known what her, I met with her on September 15th. We went through it at length. And then over the past 5-6 weeks, this is the final conclusion. And I would just like to know if there was if she offered any, did she even try to find things in favor of? And it's not a case of admitting, I admit I'm not wrong. It's just, I was hoping that she was going to be more descriptive instead of this have such tunnel vision in the order or the opinion. So like I said, I'll forward it to you all tomorrow. And I'll see what kind of response I get back from her.
Okay, and
That's all I got.
just to follow up on that, and this is thinking for the future rather than thinking for this minute, but this is part of a pattern of our having difficulty getting really useful legal advice from the city solicitor's office. And I know that they're getting hammered. I don't want to blame anybody for it. We are one of many city clients asking for advice, but it has been a problem. We didn't get that opinion about spot zoning for the church in time, and certainly we asked for it repeatedly. And, I don't know whether it's worth at least, writing a formal note to Lisa as head of the department saying, look, we have this ongoing problem. Kate, sorry.
I did ask that when Mike Bissonette was here earlier.
Okay.
So I don't know if the answer is sufficient, but and anybody can correct me if they interpreted it differently, but it sounded like, he said all departments are entitled to ask for legal opinions. So he was very clear about that. That was good to hear him say that. They're hiring somebody who hopefully will be on in about a month that he believes will be the person who is dealing with planning stuff.
Okay, so the answer is limp along until then.
Yeah, and he said that for now we could ask him. Now, I don't know if that's helpful to have heard that, if that streamlines things, but he's the one who showed up and he said we could ask
And
him.
he does always show up. So yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a good potential resolution, because of course, part of the time, I think what happens is because we're communicating by, in writing, at least some of the time, they don't fully understand what precisely it is we need to know, or, because we keep asking these questions and we get back answers that are not quite on point.
It's true.
But okay, as long as that's been dealt with earlier in the meeting, I am very glad. And
So it's Rosanna, are you waving because you have a question, or are you?
Because the conference room is split into two different screens. Okay,
Yes.
okay, so I'm not crazy, Sharon. I see you
No.
nodding. Okay, because I'm like, where's that microphone? Gunninder's standing next to the microphone, but he's not there. So I'm like, what is going
Yep.
on?
Yeah,
So
we're
I'm like,
gonna
is it
address that. too.
frozen? Okay, okay.
It's an MC Escher painting.
Yeah,
Don't go up the stairs.
I never noticed that before.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And Mimi, to update you, my interpretation is at this point, we have dealt with everything we can deal with off of the public meeting agenda, and there's one thing on the public hearings agenda that we can dispose of, and then we're done. Is that everyone else's interpretation? We're bouncing back and forth all day.
That is my interpretation, but if you close the planning board meeting, we cannot vote on that withdrawal letter because it's not listed on our agenda under planning board business. and We'd have to take it up under other business.
So do I have to
Or-
do we recess the public meeting, open the public hearing? Then close that
Accept the letter, close it, come back in
and come
accept-
back to the public meeting? Okay. So can I have a motion to recess the public meeting of the planning board?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Sharon?
By roll call vote, Mimi,
Yes.
Bernander,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Nathan,
Yes.
did I miss anybody?
Me?
Kate,
Yes.
okay. So let's do this.